Okay. Morning. Whenever or anywhere you're watching from, or you're likely to be looking from. Hopefully, loud and clear. Yeah. Let's try to discuss about the Trump, or what we call like the Trump dividend, or what's well known as to be something we should be calling out as the pro Trump funds that are indicating as they should be receiving the dividend, or and okay, we should be having a few questions like, is Trump serious about the dividend he's likely to be giving out to the rest of the world? And is Trump like serious about and how impactful is this to the U.S. economy in the first place? We should also try to ask ourselves like, is this like a serious thing, or a serious scenario that's taking place in the U.S. economy in the first place? We should try also to ask like one or two things in the first place. Like, is this like a serious case that we should try to take? We should to do our best to take it serious as much as we can. And how impactful is this to the US economy? Does this show like we are almost ending what's known as the US debt? Is it likely to be ending right now, or is it likely to be like shutting down? Like, are we having some hopes of ending the US debt in the first place? We should also try to understand that, is this even happening in the first place? And if it's happening, uh, what will be the biggest solution? Is this like a solution for the US economy, giving back the 2000 US dollars? Well, in the first place, we should try to understand uh, how much revenue does the US collect? Because if you speak of tariffs and the amount of money that Trump claims to be, let's say, likely to be receiving in the first place, we should try to understand one or two things in the first place. Um, when you speak of a dividend in the first place, like a dividend, we should try our level best to understand one. Um, the US government is like, let's just speak of the population of the US. The US have a population of, let's say, 350 million people or citizens. And he claimed by saying that almost people above 100K, who are making over 100K in the US, shouldn't be receiving this kind of a dividend. And we say, okay, we calculate it down and we say like, okay, we're gonna, because by that percentage, it feels like that's almost 18%. We're gonna say, okay, 50 million people are earning above 100K a year. We should try to understand that if this is so and it's really happening in the first place, that we should try to understand that, okay, we are left with 300 million people. Okay, when you speak of 300 million people, that means we're gonna need almost 300 billions uh, to be stimulating the economy. However, it was also said that this kind of a dividend will be either received through, or maybe they say to some people it will be categorized as a tax forgiving. Maybe you'll be seeing your taxes having that your cost will go low in one or the other. It's not actually a direct stimulus. We should try to understand that such a kind of a move indicates one or two things. In the first place, it indicates what I will be calling, or what we know as stimulus. We should understand that this indicates one or two things in the first place. It indicates that the US economy is in an era where one could indicate it to be, uh, I don't know how to explain it in simple language, but you should try to understand. Let's first look at the numbers, okay? The US economy makes around, let's say, it's around, in revenue, actually, in revenue, it made around 195 uh, billion US dollars, okay? And it's expected by the end of this year to make at least, in revenue, it's expected to be making around 216 billion US dollars by the end of the year in revenue. However, make the dividend of the 2,000 US dollars, okay, means one thing or two things in the first place. It will mean that it will mean one, that there will be we will need over $300 billion, okay, so that the US uh, could could give out the 2,000 US dollars to the US citizens. We should also try to understand that such a kind of a stimulus means one or two things in the first place. Means that the US are giving away such amount of money when it's just expecting to make over $216 billion in revenue, because we all understand that the US government spends more than it earns. Just for your information, you should try to understand that by the time you're listening, or the month we just passed, that's October, the US almost lost 150K jobs. And I don't think if Trump comes up and say that the US market is doing well, I don't think that's really ideological, and I don't think really that's the idea where one will be coming up and say the US economy is doing great in the first place. We should also come to realize that the US coming up in such a way means one or two things. Okay, it means that it's in a position where giving. I don't think it's in a position where it should be giving up a dividend. I don't mind whether you're either Republican or Democrat, but we're speaking in terms of how safe the US economy is. This is not about politics or what, but we're trying to understand how the US economy is standing as for right now. Just so you know, you should try to understand that the US economy is in a situation where we should try to mean like just by the job report, okay? We should try to understand that by the job report alone, losing almost 100, because for the past 3 months, the US has been losing jobs for 3 months consecutively. That means one. It means uh, it means one or two, three things. It means that the US economy has been uh, really losing it. Okay, in terms of unemployment has been rising, because it was almost by 4.5%. Today it's almost by 5%. In perspective, for those who don't understand, you should try to understand that those are big numbers for the world economy, or for the greatest economy, as the US claims. We should try to understand that the stock is all-time high. Okay, and if you look at the what's known as the AI bubble, it's indicating red alarms or higher alerts in simple terms. We should try to understand that such kind of high alerts mean one or two things. They mean that the US economy is not in a stand or in a odd where one will be trying to claim what's known to be as a okay, which will indicate the US economy has whenever the stock is doing great, has Trump claims. If the stock is doing great, that means you're also doing great, which I believe is kind of the opposite in simple terms. We should also try to indicate that and know that the US economy means one or two things. It's a capitalist economy, okay? It's not like the way how we see the Chinese economy, where the government gets. Actually, the US government is trying to, it's the level best to be shifting maybe one way copying the Chinese book, I would say. Believe me or not, it's kind of happening. I've seen it in CNBC News. I've seen it over YouTube. Sometimes the US trying to buy stocks. It's kind of a new language for the US, but it's happening. We should also try to understand that the US debt that's almost rising every after 82 days. Just for 2025, just between 2024 and 2025, the US has added over 1.9 trillion, almost 2 trillion uh, in the US debt. Okay, if I'm right. Yeah. In the US debt. So we should try to understand that the raising debt, I don't think Trump is thinking of the raising debt. And I don't think Trump is thinking of how the US economy is moving in the first place. I don't think Trump is seeing the behaviors of the economy and how it's moving in the first place. We should also try to understand that uh, this kind of economy is not an economy that's looking for stimulus to be giving back to the people. In my belief, or the way how I think about this, is it's a political stand. Just so you know, because why do I say it's a political stand? When you look where the funds are coming from, where Trump claims that they have been earning more money and they're highly respected by the rest of the world, it feels like a political stand because the way you have been seeing it with the Democrats have been killing it. Well, if you look at the mayor of the New York, where it has been known as the blue wave. Many people have been seeing it as known as, let's say, like the blue wave and how everything has been moving. We should also try to understand one or two things. Uh, it means that the US is in a form of or an era where one would try to negotiate it as an economy that forgot how to grow, in simple terms, an economy that forgot where it should be heading to. This indicates one or two things in the first place. It indicates that the US government needs to revise its spending. The US government needs to revise because if you look at how much the US government is spending on if you look at just the student loans, okay, student loans alone, they're almost ranging around 907, I think, if I'm right. I don't want to give wrong numbers, but it's a lot. Stimulus has been, I would say, stimulus stimulus over the economy has been almost, I would say, misused or in one or the other. One of the main reasons why I say that Trump is just making a stand to uh, bring back, let's say, the Republicans in the picture, because Republicans have been losing it because the way how people have been losing it, it means one or two things. It means that the U.S. economy has been in an era where uh, one would indicate it to be an economy where one would should try to understand like it has not been like a perfect economy. Okay, it has not been like a or something like one we should try to understand to be something. Okay, just a minute, just a minute, just a minute. Okay, okay, just so you know that the U.S. economy today is in a stand. I would say like Trump is just trying his level best to create a stand. Okay, he's just doing his level best uh, to put the Republican Party in a picture. I don't want to look. I don't want to talk a lot of let's say like in terms of politics, but that's how it looks. Because if you look at the numbers, where the money is coming from, because you should try to understand where is the government getting the money to fund the $2,000 dividend. When you look at the numbers, don't really add up. Really like seriously, because I use the simplest additions where you take off numbers of the children. Let's say children are not going to be receiving, and we say we have only numbers for taxpayers, okay, people who really pay their taxes, and still just the revenue being collected is just not even enough to make a give back to the U.S. economy or to the U.S. citizens. It's not something like one would try to indicate it as something like, or one would try to call it in one or the other. I would highly say it's something Trump really needs to recognize again, because the U.S. economy, in one or the other, needs a hand, because the overspending the government is using, the over the rest of the what we'll be calling the in one or the other we call it the juncture. Okay, just a minute, just a minute, just a minute, just a minute. Just a minute, 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 just a minute. Okay, there's something else I wanted to look at. That would be uh, let's look at the CPI, the US CPI. Okay, by trying to understand the US CPI. Okay, the Consumer Price Index. Just so you know, the US inflation today is almost by 3.0%, and they are the Fed's goal is to keep the US inflation to be at least by down by 2%. That's their main goal. We should try to understand that if that's their goal and that's how they are hoping to be seeing things or to be keeping inflation low, very soon by December, I'm sure by December 1st or by December 3rd, we're having another Fed's meeting where they discuss the federal fund interest rate. Either they'll be cutting or they'll be doing anything else. We should try to understand that in one way or the other, it means one or two things. Inflation is going to be rising higher. It means that when inflation is going to be going high, it means one more thing. One more thing would be like expect inflation going high. Okay, expect more printing of money starting because as of today, the Fed's going to be ending quantitative tightening to quantitative easing. And when Paul was asked about when he's going to be expecting to be ending the quantitative tightening to the quantitative easing, it became kind of a dramatic, what I call it, kind of a scenario. It was something that I would refer to as something like, as he uses the word uncertainty. Just so you know, also that feels uncertain where the economy is heading to, because the moment you see Paul overusing the word uncertainty, he's uncertain where the economy is going to be heading to. He's uncertain. Actually, he's uncertain about a number of things, in one or the other, because the way he does it is kind of a funny way, or way where one like if the Fed's really uncertain where the economy is, because he 10 months back, the Fed the Fed used to say the Fed used to say things like the economy is doing great. Uh, Paul himself, he used to say that the economy is doing great, everything is doing great. La, 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 la. Today he's using the word uncertain. As I speak of right now, gold prices are almost 4,800. Yeah, 4,085. Sorry. BTC is around. Actually, BTC has been showing some slowdowns, going down. We should also try to understand that the DS dollar, the dollar has been surging. I'm not gonna say it has been surging high. It has been kind of stagnant in one or the other. It has been really way slow. It has been in a caliber I would highly look at as a way slow behavior. It has been in a way where one would try to indicate it as something like a kind of slow and kind of a narrative where one we should try to understand that it has not been the best way where one would say like it has been doing great. Actually, we will be saying that the US dollar has been great for exporting goods, but again, when you talk of the tariffs that have been taking place, the US tariffs, they make it to be looking kind of bizarre, kind of fun in the first place. They make it to look like a way where one should try to indicate by saying that, see, a weaker dollar helps or indicates that manufacturers in the US or goods made in the US are going to be much cheaper for consumers around the globe, or to other countries. However, it has been kind of the opposite in one or the other because each country the US has implemented tariffs to, they have also fired back with different kind of tariffs. I'm gonna give you an example of China and the US. These guys, their relationship is like they are taking a divorce. That's gonna take a while, and because the interdependence they have been having on one another is actually one or the other ending. We should be saying that the tariffs help the US economy to grow, but I feel like it has played a big role in making the US debt to be growing higher and higher because uh, it has influenced inflation to keep rising. It has influenced things like I will be calling like higher prices on goods. It has influenced the CPI to kind of, I would say, contradict where consumers are kind of failing to spend or now counting on savings, or right now like, they're just doing one thing like doing their level best to be doing the savings as much as they can, one or the other. Like they've been doing their level best to stop spending as they look at the changes in the US economy. In one or the other, we should try to understand that it has been such a kind of an economy where it is kind of a slow kind of a form of economy, uh, a behavior where one would try to indicate it has something like has been really surging high. We should also try to understand that this kind of economy means one or two things. It means that it means in the first place that consumers uh, are failing to spend. It means there's a slow growth in one or the other. It means that there's what what will be indicating behavior of growing slow. There's a behavior. Just look at the let's just look at a few numbers. Okay, one of the main reason why, let's if you go back to the topic of one of the main reason why I feel like the Trump the Trump what would be calling the Trump a dividend that he's talking about, or he's indicating one or the other. It means one or two things in the first place. It means that the economy itself is kind of surging back. It means if he speaks about giving $2,000 to the rest of the world, it means that the kind of economy that you're looking at is kind of a slow kind of a growth of economy, because it's not only happening in the US, it's also happening to the rest of the globe. Well, this is brought by one way or two things. We should try to understand that the US economy is facing a direction where either it's lowering interest rates or it's raising interest rates. It's not going to stop the US debt from going high and high, one or the other. We should also try to understand that such a kind of economy means one or two things. It means that we are looking at a behavior where the economy is kind of it doesn't show the growth. It doesn't show like the movement like it's gonna be heading high. Just so let's just look at some numbers, okay? Ethereum today is around 3,000. I think that's around the 30,000 something. If you look at the GBP oil, the ASP 500, uh, if you look at all these numbers, one or the other, this means one or two things. It means that the US economy it's not in its best shape, or it's not in its best way how we'll be indicating it to be. Uh, Otherwise, my biggest prayer is one: if the Trump government would find a way to be spending low, if the Trump government would find the best way of making their spending as much as low as they can, which I believe they cannot, which something that I still believe that they cannot be likely to be ready to end that in one or the other. We should also try to understand that in one way or the other, the US economy is in a strange moment, I would say, in a class, because just 3 months back, we saw that US bonds are rated by Moody. Well, when they are no longer the triple A, today they are just a double A. Just in conclusion, just so you know that uh, the Trump dividend feels like a myth, feels like a way of trying to boost the US economy in a way that, like, it's a political move. It's not like a economical or something we should be thanking Trump for making the US economy great, as he says. Secondly, if politicians come up and start saying like things like, if the US economy is in its best shape, it means that the US debt should be low. Okay, it shouldn't be something that should be scared, because we expect the US debt to be added in the next 40 days. Let's say we expect another trillion to be added on the US debt, because if it's having over 38 trillion US in debt, just on interest, just so you know, in interest, the US the US economy is almost spending a trillion 970 billion just to service that debt. We should also try to understand that in one way or the other, it means it's not in its best category, or one or the other, like to indicate it to be seen as a great economy. Otherwise, to me, that Trump call for the 2000 dividend, I still believe it's a scam until it happens, because I believe it can happen one or the other. Because I'm not saying the US cannot spend over 300 billion. It can. However, the impact on the US economy would be severe, would be way that high, would be unbearable in one way or the other. Otherwise, thank you for watching. See you the next one.